Why is it bad?
Oh, God. When this tumbleweed's behind the microphone on a podcast, you know it's about to be dumb.
For one company to be the only company that can sell paper towels.
Right.
You're about to watch a supposed financial intellectual make the case for free markets and not even realize it.
Once you're the only company in town, not only is your price through the roof, but your service is in the toilet.
Now, if you think this librarian understands finance, your brain is in the toilet. Okay, so if you're supposedly the only game in town, that means your service is bad. That's very presumptive, librarian. How exactly did you become the only game in town? Just had bad service, or did you have good service until you became the only game in town, and then you started doing bad service? The truth is the government creates monopolies, but I'm gonna let you finish tumbling across this dusty desert before I educate you, fam.
Because if they gotta buy from you,
regardless,
are you really getting your fanny up early in the morning to be able to get out there and hustle and get those paper towels out the door? Are you willing to make that emergency run late in the evening?
What the hell is even that? Okay, so let me get this straight. Your prices are through the roof, your service is terrible, and you're not going to be the one getting your fanny up early to deliver all these paper towels. You're the only game in town. One could presume that if you're the only game in town that you have a bunch of employees, the CEO included, also an employee. So if these employees were just not getting their fanny up in the morning to make these late night deliveries or whatever you're talking about, wouldn't you just fire them? Or is the argument that you just wouldn't fire them? Okay, so there's one company that has high prices, bad service, and is delayed on their shipments. This, my friends, is what the market calls opportunity. Meaning that if another company was to see how bad your company is run and start manufacturing paper towels, they could take some of your market share by having A, better prices, B, better service, or C, more urgency. Or they could compete with you by having just one of those things better, like maybe not have better prices or more urgency, but have better service. This is how the free market sorts these problems out. One of the biggest supposed monopolies that fits into these categories was the cab system. I couldn't tell two people that I know that have taken a cab in the last 2 years, but I know a ton of people that take Uber. Why? Better service, better price, more efficient. And Uber would have devastated the cab industry even faster if it weren't for bureaucrats getting in the way. And the cab industry, which had a stranglehold on the hired movement of people, didn't innovate, didn't create great service because they had the bureaucracy backing them up and keeping other players out of the market. And when companies like Uber and Lyft suddenly came onto the scene and started to steal their market share, did they go and innovate? Did they go and try to make the service better or make the product better? No, they went to the bureaucrats to try to keep them out. They lobbied the government to try to block them. Because the government creates monopoly.
No. And are you willing to innovate? What if somebody has a better idea, a thicker, a two-ply, a fill in the blank? Why would you bother investing in that because you are the only game in town?
Exactly. Why would you be forced to innovate? If you don't innovate, the companies that create the two-ply or the better product or invest in the innovation, they start to steal your market share. And hopefully for you, it's not too late. This is why you see companies like Coca-Cola, which has stood the test of time for 100-something years. They see that the marketplace is softening on sugary sodas, so they innovate. Except today's modern innovation is done through acquisition. Instead of investing in R&D to create the next iced tea or the next popular brand that replaces a soda drink, they see a brand that makes iced tea or something and they acquire it. That's their innovation, and that's why you have so much competition, for example, in the beverage market. And there's a reasonable case to be made that companies like Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, for example, are the supposed monopolies or the biggest players. But the bureaucracy has no problem allowing SNAP benefits, for example, to be spent on their sugary garbage and keep them in power.
And if you can keep the competitors out, then prices go up, service goes down, and innovation dies.
Yes, Dusty Librarian, but how do you keep the innovation out? There's really only 3 ways. Number 1, outcompete them, have a better product, better service, better prices. You could also do this by acquiring them and making them continue to grow. Option 2, destroy them, acquire them and completely blow the business up and remove it. Or option 3, lobby the bureaucracy to create red tape that forces them to not be able to compete. Those are your only options. And if you acquire them and destroy them, it just opens up the opportunity for the next company to fill the void that they once had, that enabled them to gain your market share in the first place. The problem with these bureaucrats is they pretend that they're keeping the monopolies out, like they're there to protect you. But the problem you run into is that the bureaucrats pick and choose which ones are monopolies and which ones aren't, as opposed to free market forces sorting it out on its own. Boeing, for example, has 44% of the U.S. aircraft market. Boeing is constantly the recipient of bureaucratic benefits to keep it in that top spot. And when they have slow delivery times and poor product and terrible customer service, they're never held accountable, but the cash keeps flowing in their direction from the taxpayer. And when they win, they have privatized profits. And when they lose, they have socialized losses. When they make bad investments, we bail them out, thus enabling the supposed monopoly. Just recently, this dusty librarian cheered the blocked merger between Albertsons and Kroger. That merger would have allowed them to compete with the by far and away market leader, which is Walmart. By the bureaucracy stepping in and blocking that merger, what they did was preserved Walmart's position at the top of the heap. They preserved the monopoly by blocking the merger of these two grocery stores under the guise of protecting you, the consumer. The bureaucracy gave a handout to the largest player, which is Walmart, and other companies like Target and Amazon. The best thing that this dusty librarian and her bureaucratic overlords could do is get out of the way. Free market capitalism has a way of sorting these problems out on its own, and if it weren't for people like her getting in the way, we would all have better prices, better competition, better service, and people that get their fanny out of bed in the morning. Nice try, tumbleweed. Try again.